When I came home early, my wife's boyfriend attacked me with a baseball bat 23 times. They left me bleeding in the garage. My wife filmed IT laughing. I crawled to my phone and called my cousin, who was an ex-mafia boss, and whispered, "Cousin, make them vanish." What he did to them was worse than hell. Royce Monroe had built everything with his own hands. At 34 he owned 3 construction sites across Dallas, employed 47 men, and had turned his father's bankrupt contracting business into a $1 million operation. His calloused hands told the story of a man who'd started swinging hammers at 16, and never stopped working. His wife Marjorie didn't understand that part of him anymore. "You're always covered in dust," she'd said that morning, wrinkling her nose as he kissed her goodbye. "Maybe you should hire someone else to do the actual labor." Royce had laughed it off. They'd been married 6 years, high school sweethearts who'd promised forever. She'd been beautiful then, full of dreams about their future. Now she spent his money on designer clothes and complained he worked too much. He pulled his truck into the driveway at 4 p.m., 3 hours earlier than usual. The Henderson project had finished ahead of schedule, and he'd decided to surprise Marjorie with dinner reservations at that Italian place she loved. The garage door groaned open. That's when Royce saw the silver Mustang he'd never seen before, parked where his work truck usually sat. His gut twisted. He killed the engine and sat there, hands gripping the steering wheel. Music thumped from inside the house, loud enough that they wouldn't have heard the garage door. His mind raced through explanations: a friend visiting, a repair person, something innocent. But Royce Monroe hadn't built a successful business by ignoring warning signs. He stepped out of his truck quietly, moving toward the door that connected the garage to the kitchen. Through the small window he could see into the living room. His wife Marjorie stood there in a silk robe, the expensive one he'd bought her for their anniversary, laughing as a muscular Asian man in designer jeans pulled her close. The man's hands roamed places only a husband should. Royce's vision went red. He burst through the door. "What the hell is this?" Marjorie jumped back, her face cycling through shock, fear, then something worse. Irritation. "Royce? You're not supposed to be home." Clearly. His eyes locked on the other man, who hadn't even bothered to look embarrassed. If anything, the bastard was smirking. "Who were you?" "Dante Pham." The man stretched like a cat, utterly relaxed. "And I'm what Marjorie actually wants, a real man, not some blue-colored grease monkey. Get out of my house." Dante laughed. "Your house? Funny. Marjorie's been telling me all about how she owns half of everything. Actually, we've been planning." "Dante, shut up," Marjorie snapped. But Royce had heard enough. The pieces clicked together. Her sudden interest in his business finances, the questions about life insurance, the way she'd been pushing him to add her name to the company accounts. "How long?" Royce's voice was deadly quiet. 8 months, Dante answered, grinning. "She called me 2 weeks after your last anniversary. Said she was bored." Royce moved forward. Fists clenched. He'd never hit a woman, but this smug piece of... "Dante," Marjorie said, her voice suddenly cold. "Get the bat." The words didn't register at first. Then Dante walked past him to the hall closet and pulled out Royce's own aluminum baseball bat, the Louisville Slugger he'd had since high school. "Wait," Royce said, backing up. "Marjorie, what are you doing?" His wife pulled out her phone, tapping the screen. The camera light blinked red. "Insurance, baby," she said sweetly. "Dante's going to defend himself from your violent attack. And I'm going to be the traumatized widow who gets everything." Dante swung. 4 months earlier, Royce hadn't noticed the signs. He'd been too busy with the Riverside project, a $12 million development that would set up his company for the next decade. 70-hour weeks, sleeping at the site office some nights, coming home exhausted to find Marjorie already asleep, or so he'd thought. The truth had been different. Marjorie had met Dante Pham at an upscale gym in North Dallas, the kind where membership cost more than most people's car payments. Dante was a personal trainer who specialized in wealthy, bored housewives. He drove a leased Mustang, wore expensive cologne, and had a practiced smile that promised excitement. She'd fallen fast. "Your husband doesn't appreciate you," Dante had whispered after their 3rd session, his hands lingering on her waist. "A woman like you deserves someone who makes time." Marjorie had eaten it up. The attention, the flattery, the way Dante made her feel young again. Within weeks they were meeting at hotels. Within months they were planning something darker. "He's got a $2 million life insurance policy," Marjorie had told Dante one night, lying in rumpled sheets. And the business is worth at least $3 million. If something happened to him, that's a lot of money, Dante had replied, his eyes gleaming. What kind of something? They'd researched carefully. Accidents were investigated too thoroughly. Disappearances left too many questions. But a home invasion gone wrong. Or a fight where he attacked them first. The plan had been simple. Provoke Royce, get him on camera attacking Dante, then claim self-defense when Dante killed him. Marjorie would play the grieving widow. Dante would be the brave boyfriend who tried to protect her. They'd get away with everything. What they hadn't planned for was Royce's cousin. Octavio Lester had left Dallas 12 years ago under a cloud of blood and federal investigations. The Lester family had run organized crime in North Texas for 3 generations. Loan sharking, protection rackets, smuggling. Octavio had been the youngest boss in family history, taking over at 28 when his father died. Then the FBI came knocking. Octavio had made a deal. Testimony against the Russian mob in exchange for immunity. He disappeared into witness protection, and the Lester empire crumbled. Most of the family considered him a traitor. But not Royce. Royce's mother had been Octavio's aunt. When Royce's parents died in a car crash, 14-year-old Octavio had made sure his younger cousin was taken care of. Money for school, a job at a construction site, protection from the streets. They'd been like brothers. Then Octavio vanished into the system. But Royce never forgot. And Octavio never stopped checking in, using burner phones and coded messages. Once a year a text. Still breathing, Primo. You? The last message had come 2 weeks ago. Royce had saved the number. Now bleeding on his garage floor, he reached for his phone with broken fingers. The first swing had caught Royce across the shoulders. The second shattered his left arm. By the 5th, he'd stopped counting. Dante swung like a man possessed, and Marjorie filmed it all. Laughing. Actually laughing, as her husband's blood splattered across the garage walls. They dragged him from the living room, not wanting to ruin the expensive carpet. That's enough for the camera, Marjorie finally said. Make it look real, but don't kill him yet. We need him conscious for the final part. Dante paused, breathing hard. Final part? He attacks you with a weapon, Marjorie explained patiently. You struggle. The gun goes off, tragic accident. I like it, Dante grinned. Smart and beautiful. They left Royce crumpled against his truck, assuming he was too broken to move. Marjorie wanted to change clothes, wash the blood spatter off. They had time. Dante would finish it in 20 minutes. Royce heard them walk back inside. Heard the shower start. He'd taken 23 hits. 3 ribs broken. Left arm fractured in 2 places. Possible skull fracture. His vision swam and every breath felt like knives. But Royce Monroe was his father's son. The old man had taught him pain is temporary. Quit is forever. He dragged himself inch by inch across the concrete, leaving a blood trail. His phone had fallen from his pocket during the beating, skittering under the workbench. He could see it, just barely, in the dim light. 5 feet felt like 5 miles. His broken fingers couldn't grip properly. He had to use his palm, sliding the phone toward him. The screen was cracked, but still worked. Royce scrolled through his contacts with his thumb, vision blurring. The number from 2 weeks ago, he pressed call. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Primo, Octavio's voice, cautious. That you, cousin, Royce whispered, tasting blood. Make them vanish. Where are you? What happened? Home, wife, boyfriend, baseball bat, 23 times. They're going to kill me. The line went silent for 3 seconds. When Octavio spoke again, his voice was ice. You still breathing? Barely. Stay breathing. I'm 40 minutes out. You hear me, Royce? Stay alive for 40 minutes. They're coming back soon. Going to shoot me. Then hide. Fight. Do whatever you have to do. I'm coming and I'm bringing Mike. We clear? Clear, Royce whispered. And Primo, don't call the cops. Don't call anyone else. This is family business now. The line went dead. Royce heard footsteps above. They were coming back downstairs. He had maybe 2 minutes. He looked around the garage with new eyes, tools, weapons, choices. The nail gun sat on the workbench, fully loaded. Royce Monroe had 40 minutes to survive. And then his cousin, a man who'd once made a Russian brigadier disappear so completely that the FBI never found a single tooth, would show Marjorie and Dante what real hell looked like. He just had to stay alive long enough to watch. Royce dragged himself behind the truck, nail gun clutched in his good hand. Footsteps on the stairs, Dante's voice. "Time to finish this baby. Remember, he attacked you first," Marjorie said. "The video shows him violent, aggressive. You had no choice." The garage door opened. Royce could see their shadows stretching across the blood-stained concrete. His blood. "Where the hell?" Dante started. Royce rolled out from behind the truck and fired. The nail sank 2 inches into Dante's thigh. The man screamed, stumbling backward. Marjorie shrieked. "You son of a—" Dante lunged forward despite the injury. Royce fired again. Another nail, this one catching Dante's shoulder. The man dropped the gun he'd been carrying, so they had gotten a weapon. His weapon probably stolen from his safe. "Shoot him!" Marjorie screamed. But Dante was too busy screaming, clawing at the nail in his shoulder. Royce used the truck to pull himself up. Every movement agony. He'd bought himself time. Now he just needed to. Marjorie grabbed the gun from where Dante had dropped it. Royce dove back behind the truck as the first shot rang out, deafening in the enclosed space. The bullet pinged off his truck bed. Amateur shooter. She was panicking, not aiming. "Dante, get up." Marjorie fired twice more. Wild shots. Royce counted. How many rounds? His .38 held 6. She'd fired 3. 3 left, assuming it was fully loaded. He's behind the truck. Royce heard them moving, trying to flank him. He looked around desperately. The garage had one exit. The door to the kitchen. If he could make it there, get inside the house, he might have a chance. But Dante was already moving that direction, limping but determined. Royce was trapped. Then he heard it. The most beautiful sound in the world. Tires on gravel. A car door slamming. Octavio had made it in 35 minutes. Police. Marjorie's eyes went wide. "Dante, we have to." The garage door exploded inward. Octavio Lester wasn't a large man. 510, lean build. But he moved like violence personified. Behind him came Mike Chavez, 64, and built like a professional linebacker. Marjorie swung the gun toward them. Octavio closed the distance before she could fire. His hand clamping on her wrist. Twisting. The gun clattered to the floor. Mike had Dante in a headlock 3 seconds later. The larger man struggles useless. Royce. Octavio's eyes found his cousin. "Jesus Christ. I stayed alive." Royce managed. "That you did, Primo." Octavio's expression was unreadable as he looked at Marjorie. Then Dante. "Mike, secure them. Use the zip ties." Within minutes both were bound, sitting on the garage floor. Marjorie was crying now. Mascara running. Dante looked furious and terrified in equal measure. Octavio knelt beside Royce, examining his injuries with practiced eyes. "You need a hospital." "No hospitals, not yet." "Royce. You said this is family business." Royce met his cousin's eyes. "I want to watch." Octavio studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Mike, get the medical kit from the car. We stabilize him here." As Mike jogged out, Marjorie found her voice. "You can't do this. We'll tell the police." Octavio turned to her, and his smile made her words die. "Tell them what, exactly? That you and your boyfriend tried to murder your husband? That you filmed it?" "Oh wait." He pulled her phone from his pocket. "I'll need this, evidence." "You're making a mistake," Dante said, trying for defiant. "I have friends, people who will come looking." "No," Octavio said pleasantly. "You have clients. Rich housewives you screw for money. Trust me, I did my research on the drive over, made some calls. You're a nobody, Dante. A parasite. And parasites?" He crouched down to eye level. "They're easy to exterminate." Mike returned with a tactical medical kit. For the next 20 minutes, they stabilized Royce. Field dressings. Splints. Painkillers from a syringe that definitely wasn't legal. "This will keep you conscious," Octavio explained. "But you're going to need surgery soon. Mike's calling my doctor. He'll be here in an hour." Discreet. No questions. Royce nodded, already feeling the drugs taking effect. The pain dulled to a manageable roar. "Now then," Octavio stood, looking at his prisoners. "Let's talk about what happens next." They moved Marjorie and Dante to the basement. Royce's house had been built in the 70s, with a sprawling lower level that he'd converted into a workshop. Concrete walls. Soundproofing he'd installed himself. Only one small window, now covered. Perfect. Mike set up a chair for Royce. He couldn't stand for long, not yet. Octavio had changed into dark clothes. Methodical and calm. He'd done this before. Royce realized. Many times. "Please," Marjorie whispered. "Please. We're sorry. We'll leave. You'll never see us again." "You tried to kill my cousin," Octavio said conversationally. 23 times with a baseball bat. Filmed it. Laughing. "We're going to shoot him and claim self-defense." He pulled up a chair, sitting backward on it. "I need you to understand something. You're not leaving. Ever. But what happens between now and when you stop breathing? That's up to you." Dante spat at him. "Fuck you." Mike's fist crashed into Dante's face, breaking his nose. Blood poured. "Mike doesn't like rudeness," Octavio explained. "Now here's how this works. I'm going to ask questions. You're going to answer. Lie to me, and things get worse. Refuse to answer. Things get worse. Understand?" Neither responded. "Let's start simple. Marjorie, whose idea was it to kill Royce?" She remained silent. Tears streaming. Octavio sighed. "Mike," her left pinky finger. "No!" Marjorie screamed. "It was Dante. It was all Dante's idea." "Bitch," Dante snarled. "Interesting." Octavio made a note on his phone. "And the life insurance. When did you access that information?" 3 months ago, Marjorie sobbed. "I found the policy in his office. Dante said we could make it work, make it look like an accident." The interrogation continued for an hour. Octavio extracted every detail. The planning, the affair, the gym where they'd met. He recorded everything on his phone, building a picture. Finally he stood. "Thank you both. Very helpful." Dante's voice cracked. Octavio smiled. "Royce, what do you want me to do?" All eyes turned to Royce. He sat there, broken and bandaged, looking at the woman he'd loved for 12 years. The woman who'd laughed, while someone beat him to death. "Make it hurt," Royce said quietly. "Make it last. And when they're begging for death," he leaned forward. "Make them beg longer." Marjorie went pale. "Royce, please. You get nothing from me. No mercy, no forgiveness." His voice was stone. "Octavio. Do what you do best." His cousin nodded. "Mike, take Royce upstairs. Doctor should be here soon." As Mike helped Royce to his feet, Dante started screaming. "You can't do this. People will look for us. The police. We'll find evidence that you two ran off together." Octavio interrupted. "Credit card charges in Mexico City. Hotel reservations, ATM withdrawals. I'm very good at building trails, Dante. By the time anyone thinks to question it, there'll be nothing left to find." He pulled out a leather case, unzipping it, gleaming instruments inside. Some medical, some definitely not. "Royce," Octavio called as Mike helped his cousin to the stairs. "Yeah? This is going to take a while, days maybe. You sure you want this?" Royce looked back at the basement. At Marjorie, who'd promised to love him forever. At Dante, who'd grinned while swinging that bat. "I'm sure." The doctor arrived 30 minutes later. A thin man in his 60s named Russell Duncan, who asked no questions and accepted cash. 3 broken ribs, fractured ulna and radius, moderate concussion, extensive, soft tissue damage. Russell rattled off after his examination. "You should be in a hospital. Can you fix me here?" Royce asked. Russell looked at Octavio, who nodded slightly. "Yes, but it won't be pleasant, and you'll need weeks of recovery. Do it." They converted Royce's bedroom into a makeshift surgery. Russell had brought equipment, portable X-ray, proper medical supplies, anesthesia. Whatever Octavio was paying him, it was enough to ensure discretion. As Russell prepared, Mike showed Octavio something on his phone. Both men looked grim. "What is it?" Royce asked. "Security footage from your neighbor's house. Janine Peterson, 3 doors down. Her camera catches your driveway." Octavio turned the phone. "Shows Dante arriving this morning. Shows you coming home. Shows nothing after. She's already sent me the file and agreed to delete her copy for 10,000 cash. Why would she do that?" "Because I explained what happened, showed her Marjorie's video and asked nicely. Janine's got 2 daughters. She understands what trash needs taking out." Octavio pocketed his phone. "Point is, we're clean here. The trail shows them together all day. Then tonight they drive away in Dante's Mustang. Mike's going to drive it to a chop shop in Oklahoma. It'll be parts by morning. What about their phones? Cloned and spoofing location data. They're currently having a wonderful time in Cabo, according to their GPS. Octavio smiled. Trust me, Primo. I've been doing this since you were in high school. Russell approached with a syringe. Time to sleep, Mr. Monroe. How long will I be out? 4 hours. Maybe 5. Royce looked at Octavio. Don't kill them while I'm under. I want to be awake for that part. Wasn't planning to. They've got a long way to go before they earn death. The anesthesia pulled Royce under. His last thought, a dark satisfaction. When he woke, it was 3 a.m. His arm was in a proper cast. Ribs wrapped. Stitches in his scalp. The pain was manageable. Russell had left strong medication. Octavio sat in a chair by the window, cleaning blood from his hands. How'd surgery go? He asked. Russell says you'll heal fine. 3 months for the arm, 6 weeks for the ribs. You'll need physical therapy. Royce nodded. And downstairs. Progressing. Marjorie told us about a secret bank account. Turns out she's been skimming from your business accounts for 6 months. Small amounts, nothing you'd notice. Built up $40,000. Dante confirmed it. They were planning to use it as starting capital after you were dead. How'd you get them to talk? Octavio's expression was flat. You don't want details. Maybe the first do. His cousin studied him. You've changed, Royce. The man I knew before would have called the police. Done things the right way. That man died on the garage floor 23 times. Fair enough. Octavio leaned back. Dante's missing 3 fingernails. Marjorie's got electrical burns on her feet. Nothing permanent yet, but painful. They're both singing like canaries now. Turns out this wasn't Dante's first time. He's run this scam before. 2 other married women in Austin, 1 in Houston, never got caught because he'd stopped before it went too far. But Marjorie, she wanted you dead. Why? The usual reasons. Money, freedom, excitement, she said. Octavio hesitated. Say it. She said you bored her. That marrying you was a mistake. That she deserved better than a construction worker covered in dirt. Royce absorbed that. Felt nothing. Whatever love had existed was gone, beaten out of him with each swing of that bat. What's the plan? He asked. Tomorrow we make a video. Confessions details everything. Then we give them a choice. What kind of choice? Octavio's smile was terrible. You'll see. By noon the next day, Royce could walk with help. Russell had left more medication and instructions, promising to return in 3 days. Mike had disposed of Dante's car, and returned with 3 burner phones and a camera setup. In the basement, Marjorie and Dante looked worse. Exhausted. Terrified. Bleeding from various small wounds. Not life-threatening. Octavio was too skilled for that. But demoralizing. Good morning, Octavio said pleasantly. Today we're going to make a movie. He set up the camera, positioning it to capture both prisoners clearly. Professional lighting. Good audio. Mike handed him a script he'd typed up. You're going to read this, Octavio explained. Full confession. Every detail. The affair, the planning, the attack, all of it. And you're going to do it convincingly, or Mike starts breaking bones. Understand? They understood. The first take. Marjorie stumbled over the words. Octavio had Mike break her left index finger. The second take was better. By the third take, both Marjorie and Dante delivered their confessions perfectly. Tears. Remorse. Admission of guilt. Beautiful. Octavio said, reviewing the footage. Now comes the choice I mentioned. He pulled up 2 chairs, sitting between his prisoners. Option 1. I call the police right now. Show them this confession video. Show them the footage Marjorie took of the attack. You both go to prison for attempted murder. Texas still has the death penalty, you know. You'd probably get life without parole, but hey, you'd be alive. Dante looked hopeful. Marjorie's eyes widened. Option 2, Octavio continued. You play a game. A game where if you win, you go free. If you lose, he shrugged. Well, you don't. What kind of game? Dante asked suspiciously. Octavio stood, walking to a metal table Mike had brought down. On it sat 2 syringes, both filled with clear liquid. One of these contains saline, harmless. The other contains potassium chloride, causes cardiac arrest in about 90 seconds. You each pick one, inject yourselves. 50 to 50% chance of survival. That's insane, Marjorie whispered. Is it? Octavio turned to her. You were going to shoot Royce, pull a trigger, end his life. This is the same thing. Except you're gambling with your own lives now. Seems fair to me. And if we refuse, Dante asked. Then I choose option 3, which involves that toolbox over there and a lot more screaming. Trust me, you want to pick option 1 or 2. Royce watched from the stairs, Mike supporting him. He felt nothing. No satisfaction, no anger, just empty coldness. I'll take the game, Dante said suddenly, but Marjorie goes first. Dante. Marjorie's eyes were wild. You can't shut up. We're both dead anyway if we pick prison. At least this way one of us might live. He looked at Octavio. She picks first. I want to see if it's real. Marjorie started sobbing. Please no, I'll take prison. I'll confess everything. Please. Too late, Octavio said. Dante made the choice for both of you. Pick up a syringe, Marjorie. Her hand shook violently as she reached for the table. The syringes looked identical. She picked one, holding it like a snake. In the neck, Octavio instructed. Quick and clean. I can't. Mike stepped forward. Marjorie flinched. Then pressed the syringe to her neck. Closed her eyes. Pushed the plunger. The liquid entered her bloodstream. Everyone waited. 30 seconds. Marjorie was hyperventilating, waiting for death. 60 seconds. Still breathing. 90 seconds. Nothing happened. Congratulations, Octavio said. Celine, you live. Marjorie collapsed, sobbing with relief. Dante stared at the remaining syringe. His face, gray. That means this one kills. Octavio confirmed. Your turn. No, I'm not. This is murder. Is it? Octavio tilted his head. You chose the game. Pick up the syringe, Dante. Fuck you. Mike moved fast, grabbing Dante's arm and forcing it toward the table. Dante fought, but Mike was stronger. His fingers closed around the syringe. Stop, Dante screamed. I'll tell you everything. I'll give you anything. Please. You already told us everything, Octavio said calmly. And you have nothing we want, except to watch you pay. Roy spoke for the first time, his voice carrying down the stairs. You smiled when you hit me. The 23rd time you were laughing. Dante's eyes found him. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She made me do it. Liar, Roy said flatly. You enjoyed it. Mike pressed Dante's hand toward his neck. The man thrashed, screaming. But it was useless. The needle pierced his skin. The plunger went down. Then Mike let go, stepping back. Dante fell to his knees, hands clutching his neck. No. 30 seconds. His breathing became labored. 60 seconds. He started convulsing. 90 seconds. Dante found collapsed. Foam bubbling from his mouth. Eyes rolling back. 2 minutes later, he was dead. Marjorie screamed and screamed. You lied. Marjorie sobbed. You said one was safe. I lied. Octavio agreed. Both syringes had potassium chloride, but you believed so hard that you'd survive that your mind made it real. Placebo effect. Psychology. You're a monster. No, Marjorie. I'm a mirror. I show people what they really are. He pulled out a phone. Now let's talk about what happens to you. Over the next 6 hours, Octavio laid out Marjorie's future in exacting detail. First, the money. Every account sheet hidden. Every asset in her name. Transferred to Royce. She'd sign the documents willingly. Mike was very persuasive. Second, the evidence. The confession video would be stored in multiple locations, along with the footage of the attack. If she ever resurfaced, if she ever contacted Royce, if she ever breathed wrong, it all went to the police. Third, her identity. Octavio had connections. Forgers. Criminals. People who could make someone disappear. Marjorie Monroe would cease to exist. She'd become someone else. Someone with no past, living in a city far from Dallas. You get to live, Octavio explained. But you don't get to be you anymore. New name. New life. New everything. And you'll spend every day knowing that one mistake. One slip. And you'll end up in prison. Or worse. Back in my basement. Where will I go? She whispered. Does it matter? You wanted freedom from Royce so badly. Now you have it. Forever. As the sun set, Mike finished the paperwork. Marjorie signed everything. Divorce documents. Financial transfers. non-disclosure agreements. Her hands shook with each signature. But she signed. Dante's body was wrapped in plastic, loaded into a van. Octavio had friends who ran a rendering plant. By tomorrow, Dante fam would be nothing but molecules mixed with industrial waste. Completely untraceable. At midnight they put Marjorie in a car blindfolded. Mike would drive her to St. Louis, where another of Octavio's contacts would give her a new identity and a bus ticket to Portland. She'd have $5,000 in cash and a warning, disappear or else. Before she left, Octavio brought her to Royce one last time. "Look at him," Octavio commanded. "Look at what you tried to destroy." Marjorie looked. Royce stood there, bandaged and broken but alive. His eyes were ice. "I loved you," Royce said quietly. "I would have given you everything. Anything you asked." "I know," Marjorie whispered. "I'm sorry." "No, you're not. You're sorry you got caught. There's a difference." He stepped closer. "You're going to live a long life, Marjorie. Every day, you're going to wake up and remember this moment. Remember that you destroyed everything for a parasite who would have abandoned you the second things got hard. And you're going to know that somewhere, I'm living the life we should have had. Without you." Tears streamed down her face. "Take her away," Royce said. "I'm done looking at her." Mike led her out. The car drove into the night. Octavio and Royce sat in the living room drinking whiskey despite Russell's warnings about painkillers. "How do you feel?" Octavio asked. "Empty. That'll pass." "Will it?" His cousin shrugged. "Honestly, I don't know. But you survived, Primo. That's what matters." Royce looked around his house. The home he'd built with his own hands filled with memories that now felt poisoned. "I can't stay here." "Then don't. Sell it. Start over. You've got the money now. And your business is clean. What about you? You're supposed to be in witness protection." Octavio smiled. "I've been out for 2 years. The people I testified against are all dead. Natural causes, mostly. The FBI doesn't care where I am anymore. As long as I stay quiet." He refilled their glasses. "I've been living in Colorado. Consulting business. Security and risk management. Completely legal. Consulting. Okay. Mostly legal. But, yeah, I'm legit now. Boring even. This?" He gestured around. "This was a favor for family. One time only." They sat in silence, the weight of the night settling over them. Finally Roy spoke. "Thank you. You'd have done the same for me." "Would I have?" Octavio met his eyes. "Yeah. You would. That's the difference between you and them, Royce. You've got loyalty, honor. They had nothing but greed." The next morning, Russell returned to check Royce's injuries. Everything was healing properly. He'd need time, therapy, and care. But he'd recover. 2 weeks later, Royce put the house on the market. It sold in 4 days. Cash offer. No questions. 6 months later, Royce Monroe stood in his new office, overlooking downtown Denver. He'd moved the business, rebranded it, and expanded into commercial development. His crew had followed him. 47 loyal men who'd built his empire with their hands. They were doing better than ever. The broken bones had healed. Physical therapy had restored most of his strength. The scars remained, but they were just reminders now. Octavio stopped by once a week for lunch. They'd talk business, family, life, never about that night in the basement. Some things didn't need revisiting. Royce dated occasionally, but nothing serious. Trust was hard now. Maybe it always would be. His phone buzzed, a text from Mike Chavez, who'd become a friend over the months. Package arrived, usual spot. The package was information. Royce had hired a private investigator to track Marjorie just in case. She was in Portland, working as a waitress under the name Jennifer Walsh. Living alone, looking over her shoulder constantly. Good. Dante's family had reported him missing, but the investigation went nowhere. The trail Octavio had built was perfect. Mexico, then South America, then nothing. Probably dead, in a cartel dispute, the police theorized. Case eventually went cold. Also, good. Royce deleted the text and looked out at the mountains. His father used to say that construction was about building foundations, solid ground that would support everything above it. The old man had been talking about concrete and steel, but Royce understood the deeper meaning now. He'd had to tear down his old foundation completely. The marriage, the house, the life he built. And in the ruins, he'd found something stronger. Himself, not the man who'd trusted blindly, who'd worked himself to death for someone else's approval, but someone harder, smarter, unbreakable. A knock on his office door. "Boss, the Henderson project team is here for the meeting." Be right there, Royce called. He grabbed his plans and headed to the conference room, walking without a limp now. The pain was gone. The anger had faded to a dull, manageable ember. But he'd never forget. That night, 23 swings of a baseball bat had killed the old Royce Monroe. In his place stood someone new. Someone who'd crawled through hell on broken bones. Who'd made his enemies pay in ways they'd never imagined. Who'd survived when survival should have been impossible. The weak man died in that garage. A monster woke up. But not the kind that destroyed innocent people. The kind that protected what mattered, punished the guilty, and built empires from ashes. Royce Monroe was living proof that sometimes the only way to truly win is to let the old version of yourself die and embrace the ruthless survivor underneath. As he entered the conference room, his team stood in respect. They didn't know the full story, but they knew their boss had been through hell and came out stronger. Let's get to work, Royce said, spreading the plans across the table. We've got a city to build. Outside, the Denver sun was setting, painting the sky blood red. Somewhere in Portland, a woman named Jennifer Walsh woke up screaming from the same nightmare she'd had every night for 6 months. Aluminum bat whistling through air, her husband's blood on her hands, and a voice whispering, "You get to live, but you don't get to be you anymore." Somewhere in a Colorado morgue, under a name that wasn't his, Dante Pham's remains had been reduced to ash and scattered in unmarked waste. No funeral, no gravestone, just erasure. And in Denver, Royce Monroe smiled, closed his briefcase, and went home to his new apartment, secure, clean, his. The game was over. He'd won. Thanks for watching, take care. Good luck.